Questions. Questions orales. The honourable member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
This Liberal government constantly votes to increase taxes on Canadians. They voted to increase taxes on fuel. They voted to increase taxes on home heating. And at a time when Canadians are struggling to put food on the table for their families, 1.5 million Canadians visiting food banks in a single month, these Liberals voted to increase their carbon tax on food production. So when will they finally quit forcing their failed carbon tax on struggling Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, I understand that the Conservatives are still debating whether or not the climate crisis is real, and I understand that their economic policy can be summed up by cancelling the price on pollution. What I don't understand is that yesterday the Conservatives voted against a tax cut for small businesses, Madam Speaker. They voted against eliminating interest on student loans. Madam Speaker, we have been there for Canadians. We have a strong and prudent fiscal policy in this country. I just don't understand why the Conservatives consistently oppose it.
Honourable member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
Madam Speaker, what we oppose is their failed carbon tax plan. It's not an environmental plan, and what we're voting against is, like the Auditor General saw, $27 billion in misappropriated COVID funds. What we're going to continue to vote against is the wasteful spending of these inflationary arsonists. Madam Speaker, these Liberals haven't found a tax that they don't love. When will they finally get rid of their tax and spend ways and give Canadians a well-deserved break?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, I'm not sure who the Conservative member is referring to when he calls people arsonists, but clearly the facts and the numbers don't seem to matter to the Conservatives. If they bothered to look at the facts, they would see that we have the lowest deficit and the lowest debt of all G7 countries. They would also see that we continue to have a AAA credit rating, which means, Madam Speaker, and the numbers bear this out, business investors are finding Canada to be the most prudent and responsible investment, Madam Speaker. Business investment is up in this country. I just wish that the Conservatives would stop denigrating our economy.
The Honourable Member for Calgary, Midnapore.
Madam Speaker, because of this Liberal government, Christmas will be more expensive for Canadians than ever before. 52% of Canadians are worried about buying gifts this Christmas. 61% of Canadians are worried about putting gas in their car to go and visit loved ones over the holidays. And 53% of Canadians are worried about buying groceries for Christmas dinner. Madam Speaker, this is supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year. So when will this Liberal government give Canadians a break and axe the carbon tax?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, nobody is believing this feigned compassion on behalf of the Conservatives. It is the government's policies that ensured that 2 million fewer Canadians are suffering from poverty in this country. It is the policies that we have put in place that are helping Canadians make ends meet, whether it's the rental benefit that will become available in a few days' time, whether it is the dental subsidy that is already available to Canadian families, whether it is the supports for childcare, whether it is doubling the GST tax credit, Madam Speaker. We have been there for Canadians and will continue to be there.
L'honorable député de Louis.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. Madam Speaker, we're a few days or a couple of weeks from Christmas. Millions of families will be sitting down to dinner, and one of the things that will be on their mind is inflation. And inflation is hitting hardest where it hurts most on an essential good, which is food. So the government has to do something, and what they can do is not increase taxes. Will the government promise not to raise taxes in 2023, yes or no? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Madam Speaker, the tax my colleague refers to is the carbon tax, or a price on pollution, and Quebecers fully agree that polluters should have to pay. The price on pollution doesn't even apply in Quebec, though. So I'd just like to remind my colleague that you have to be consistent with the facts, and you have to be able to make sure that that the votes reflect the Conservatives' position. Yesterday, they opposed measures that would help Canadians. The honourable member, well, that's why I didn't talk about the carbon tax. The member raised it. And why? Because she knows full well that they are going to increase the carbon tax in 2023, and that will help nobody. And while we're at it, teaching lessons and so on, I'd like to remind this government that they're the 58th out of 63 when it comes to their performance on combating climate change. So I will repeat my question. Will the government increase taxes in 2023? Yes or no? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madame la Présidente, là, je me...
Madam Speaker, now I'm getting mad because, yes, I referred to the carbon tax because that's the only possible tax the Conservatives could be referring to. There is no federal tax on foodstuffs, Madam Speaker, and the member opposite knows that full well. Their feigned compassion here in the House today, Madam Speaker, isn't true because yesterday they voted against things that would help Canadians. The Honourable Member for Saint Jean. Madam Speaker, according to Superior Court Chief Justice Marianne Paquette, many trials have had to be postponed in recent months because the Minister of Justice has been so slow in appointing judges. In one judicial district in the Montreal area, hearings couldn't be held for a full month because of a lack of judges. And when the Minister's office is asked, they say the appointments will be made in due course. Will the Minister not admit that due course is long overdue? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to thank my honourable colleague for her question. I was present when Chief Justice Paquette was sworn in a week and a half ago in Montreal. I was there, and the bar and the Chief Justices are very pleased with the quality and the diversity of the people we've appointed to the Superior Court. We appointed 10 people this year. There are 9 vacancies yet to be filled, and we are working on that. I hope to have good news in the near future. The Honourable Member for Saint Jean. Madam Speaker, when the Chief Justice says we're missing 12 judges, they say, no, it's just 9 judges that are lacking. Maybe there's a shortage of names on Liberal lists, but public confidence in the justice system is what's at stake, and this system no longer has the capacity to respond. When are they going to take appointments to the bench seriously and fill those vacancies? The Honourable Minister. Madam Speaker, that's precisely what we're doing all across Canada. We're filling vacancies. We set up a process that's transparent, that's effective, and we are going about filling those vacancies. We're doing it diligently. And as I said, the results are excellent. We have high quality and very diverse appointments being made.